Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and tastemakers.
Brought to you by Chord Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hoy.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, today we're excited to have Robyn Householder.
Yes, we are.
The president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Middle Tennessee. With a distinguished career in leadership, Robyn brings a wealth of experience in nonprofit management, business development, and community engagement. Under her leadership, the BBB of Middle Tennessee has flourished, providing invaluable services to ensure business integrity and consumer trust. Her strategic acumen and commitment to excellence have significantly contributed to the organization's success and its impact on the community. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How did we get you?
I don't know. I feel like I need to hire that person.
Man.
She sounded great.
I mean, I'm for hires.
She was talking about the person you were talking about, not you.
The one you were describing.
When you were describing,
Her.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the person that found her
Well,
to get her
of
on the
course,
show.
Of course.
It's an important role.
True. Hey, you do it well.
So Robyn, what inspired you to take on the role of president, CEO of the BBB?
Well, I've actually been with Better Business Bureaus for over 30 years. So it's been an evolution. I actually started in the sales department, if you can believe that, a long, long time ago in a faraway land, not in Nashville. And then just over time, moved into different leadership roles. And most recently, prior to Nashville, was in Austin, Texas. So I always feel like Austin's like a little sister to Nashville or vice versa.
They wouldn't think that way.
Well, there's so much similarity.
Yes.
And so I've been in Nashville since 2017. I love this community, and I love what BBB stands for.
Awesome. Well, how has your background in business development and community service prepared you for this role?
Sure. Well, BBB is about building better businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, growing up within the system and seeing the evolution of moving away from a little less bureau and a little more better business, that's really what excites me. And so I love to be able to engage with the members. We have over 4,500 of them throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. I love to see the impact of the work we're doing and how that benefits them. It's always great when we surprise them, and that happens a lot because I think most folks think of BBB as the complaint location. But here's a number that'll kind of blow your socks off. We only do about 14,000 complaints a year. We provided 1.7 million instances of service last year.
Wow.
So dispute resolution is a very small part of it. It really is about information. It's about education. It's about supporting the marketplace so that transactions can be worry-free, so you don't have to complain later. My background, if you can believe it or not, was in consumer science. And so in terms of education. And so it always interested me, that relationship between the business and their customer. And at Better Business Bureau, I've just been able to build on that, and I love it.
Because that was like back in the days. I mean, I remember the yellow pages and it'd be BBB in there.
Right.
It was a big deal. I joined the BBB when I had my first business.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to get controversial right out of the gate here.
What's so controversial about the yellow pages?
Go ahead.
Come on. A lot of people perceive the BBB as like,
Big brother.
You gotta pay to, get the ratings and, and
so let's dispel some of those
wow.
ideas. I
didn't even know where I was headed.
You're all good.
See, I'm an old corporate guy. Van is in the music industry. I had no concept.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So BBB, it is an application process.
Yep.
So companies have to apply to be accredited.
Right.
We vet them against what we call our 8 standards of trust. Sadly, companies don't make the cut. We probably deny accreditation to anywhere from 5 to 10% in any given month, because we want to make sure you as a consumer, be it a business consumer or a retail consumer, can feel safe with the people you're doing work with.
Right.
So we're doing a very thorough vetting, background checks, verifying licensing, ensuring they've been in business as long as they should be. Now, obviously, as a membership organization, just like any other member organization, there are dues.
Sure.
But ratings have nothing to do with accreditation. Whether you're accredited or not, if you have a good standing in the community, your rating is not impacted by your membership. They don't have there's nothing to do with those two things.
As it should be.
As it should be. That's right. And so we maintain just shy of about 60,000 files in our system. Again, about 4,500 of those are accredited.
Was that part of my permanent record I always heard about as a kid?
Your permanent. Well, believe it or not,
It's in my permanent record.
Everything we do is on a 3-year cycle.
Oh.
Yeah. So
So you burn the files?
Well, they just don't get published anymore.
Okay.
So we may maintain them internally, but we're not pushing them out because what we don't want to do is provide anyone looking at bbb.org with old, bad information.
Oh, yeah.
So everything we publish is verified. It's up to date. So you can feel confident that what you're looking at is accurate. But if we haven't heard from a company, the company has had no activity when it comes to inquiries from their potential customers, things like that, we're probably not going to be publishing that information until we're able to get it updated. It's actually why Google sees our data more valuable than theirs because we verify everything before it gets published.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are there different levels of accreditation or?
No, not really. Everyone is judged the same. So we look at things like, are they honoring promises? Are they transparent with their policies? Do they safeguard privacy if they're gathering information on the website? Do they embody integrity? And what we mean by that is this an organization whose reputation sheds positively on BBB and its roster, or is it negative? And if that's the case, they're not going to be approved.
Would you say there's more larger businesses that get the accreditation, or is it a lot of small businesses?
So about 70% of our roster has fewer than 10 employees.
Oh, wow.
But that's quite frankly the bulk of any community. So that could be a small law firm, it could be a small manufacturer, or it could be a mom and pop home builder or a home remodeler. Now we do have a lot of representation in the larger market. Larger size businesses. So, for example, Asurion is a member, Nissan North America is a member. And so what you find with those large corporations is they want to support things that support the market that they serve and the community that they live in. And so that's why you're going to have someone like Asurion, again, like Nissan North America, like iHeartRadio, like whomever that's based here, say, no, we want to be a part of something that builds trust in the marketplace. Because unfortunately, since COVID, trust is at an all-time low. Some of the data that we collect measures trust with consumers. And right now, consumers assume that for every 10 transactions they go into, 6 of them are going to go wrong. So they actually have to trust about 40% of their interactions with new business.
I believe that.
Right? So that's kind of scary. That's actually pretty sad for the honest business owner. How do they separate themselves from the pack? How do they identify that we, in fact, are one of the trusted businesses? And that's what what BBB tries to do. We want to celebrate marketplace role models. We want to give credit where credit's due. Definitely want to denounce the bad guys. That's why we're on the news all the time talking about those that prefer to rip you off than deliver on honest, ethical business practices. But again, there's a lot of really good companies out there. Sometimes it's not just, though, recognizing the good business. It's also educating the consumers on how to approach a transaction. What do they need to understand before they buy that puppy online? What do they need to understand before they invest in Bitcoin? What do they need to understand if they've suffered a natural disaster like a tornado and a flooding, and how to avoid those unfortunate bad guys that go in door to door? Give them the resources to know who really FEMA people are, or how to file that insurance claim. So again, it's about, some of that is education to the consumer, but it's also recognition for the companies doing things right.
What are we supposed to know about Bitcoin?
I know you brought up cryptocurrency.
That's his favorite topic. Yeah. What are we supposed to know about that?
Well, the reality is anytime you're taking on a transaction that you never been a part of, you got to do your homework.
Sure.
So you want to do your research, time is our greatest asset when we're
Don't buy from anybody with 3 names.
Well, I don't know if that's a rule or not, but it sounds like it might be a good practice. Time is our greatest asset. And unfortunately, we live in an instant gratification marketplace, right?
Oh, yeah.
To having something on our phone.
Oh, yeah.
We buy it right now. It's home. It's
right now.
Couple hours. We don't like to wait.
No.
And unfortunately, that's what scammers know. The bad guys know that they're going to be able to take advantage of your lack of impatience. So whether it's Bitcoin or whatever it is you're considering purchasing or investing in, you've got to take a few minutes, slow down, ask for references.
Right.
Do check with BBB to see what we know about that company, what their track record is in the marketplace. Because remember, honor promises don't happen overnight. That's over a period of time that we're monitoring to ensure that they really do fulfill the obligations of those transactions.
Did you see how she just did that? She took that controversial question and she brought it back to the broad market.
30 years of interview.
I'm like, wow, did you just see that? That was it was like beautiful.
Wow. Well, again, time is your greatest ally.
Right.
And, it's interesting. When I came into the BBB system in the 90s, the folks that were getting scammed are all over the age of 60.
Okay.
Guess who's the most sought after fall victims over and over and over again? 18 to 34.
Interesting.
Why? Because again, they spend all their time on a smart device.
Right.
The scammers know where to find them. They know to text them. They know to social media message them. They know to social media advertise them.
Right.
And they don't think, they just click.
Interesting.
What kind of strategies have you implemented over the years to enhance consumer trust and business integrity? How have you seen that kind of morph with, sort of the digital age, coming in and social influence being such a big thing? How has that changed what you?
Well, for us, definitely we try to be where the consumer is. We try to be where the business is. Our team spends a lot of time posting information in all the different social media platforms. We're communicating differently than we ever have. We have a voice response system that can provide information 24/7. We're doing a lot more webinars than we are because we know people can't always travel. We use resident experts. So we have a really great network of volunteers and board members that are experts in all the industries that we can't necessarily be an industry leader in. And so we're relying heavily on them to give us guidance and insight. And that's not just here in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, but as a network within North America. So there's 93 BBBs in the US and 6 in Canada. And so we're constantly exchanging information. What we know specifically about a bad situation like a scam is we can watch it follow a highway almost. So for example, if it's been in Detroit, we know it's going to be in Cincinnati and Dayton, and then we know it's going to hit Louisville and Lexington, and before you know it, it's going to be in Nashville. So we follow a lot of that data. We have a really great tool called Scam Tracker, where you can go to bbb.org/scam tracker and either see what scams are impacting an area down to the zip code, down to the street. It's a heat map. Or you can report a scam. Now, what's interesting about that is we're not a government agency. Again, we're a private association of
you're a nonprofit,
right? We are a nonprofit, but government agencies rely on us for data because they know consumers are more likely to find us. I don't know about you, but do you know how to reach your local FBI agent?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But you can call us. So every night our data is uploaded to a variety of different agencies that then they're using to take appropriate action. So whether that's an attorney general, Federal Trade Commission, Secret Service, who, by the way, monitors most internet activity. And so a lot of it is just you knew it. They're not just for the president.
No, they're not.
For you too.
Man.
But believe it or not, they do take care of cybersecurity for a large portion of the country. But the point is that we're figuring out different ways to get the data where it needs to go to ensure that the best outcomes come from that data.
How do you see the role of the BBB kind of evolving as the market is shifting?
If we had one obstacle that gets in our way, it's that folks that are in their 20s and early 30s, they've grown up again with the internet. They've grown up with asking for reviews. They've grown up with what does social media tell us to do?
Right.
And so a lot of our obstacle is just education of that younger entrepreneurial group. It's one of the reasons why we spend a lot of time at universities. So whether it's myself or someone from the leadership team, we're talking at APSU, we're talking at Vanderbilt, we're talking at Belmont to those master classes. It's also, again, being where they are. We have a really cool program called the Students of Integrity Scholarship Program. So we're giving 10 scholarships to students that can show that they have a personal situation, that they've overcome an ethical dilemma by using their own personal integrity. But we're also driving 10 scholarships to trade school students because the shortage of trades is just astronomical. So getting to those kids and understanding the importance of what it means to be operating with trust and ethics and personal integrity is so important to us. Those are our future leaders. We also have a really cool program called the Spark Awards program, and this is for young entrepreneurs. It comes with money, which we love to have.
Hey.
We love to give away money. And so it's for businesses that are either less than 3 years old or the owner is under 35. And so again, that's kind of that target market where they...
Ageism.
I know we're being... But, it's really about they think they know what BBB is, but they're not really sure how it applies to them.
Yeah.
So making sure that they, through that application process, can see what we see as important to thrive in a community, but also then supporting them for doing things right.
Right.
And so as a matter of fact, that event comes up next week. We're going to be giving out the scholarships, the Spark Awards, and we also have something called the Torch Awards for Marketplace Trust. Very and then probably the program they're the most proud of that has more to do with just supporting the marketplace. BBBs have been around for over 110 years. It's a long time.
Right.
And so businesses have supported us for decades. So now it's time for us to support them. So we actually have a small business grant program that allows businesses to get financial support from us that have experienced something beyond their control. So maybe the building has been, maybe it was a fire, maybe it was an unexpected death of the owner or a tornado. And so we're giving anywhere from 12 to 15 grants out every year to ensure that those companies can continue to thrive.
Right.
And we're very proud of that.
So back in the day before the internet and all that, I remember contacting the BBB because I had a bad situation at a car wash.
Perfect.
Right. I went through a car wash. I always went through and I got a flat tire. Shock. I know we were just talking about that, but I got a flat tire in the car wash. And I thought, well, that was strange. How on earth would that happen? And they stopped the wash and I looked.
Those low profile tires.
It is. It was. It was some of the very beginning. It was. But it was, I saw right where where it happened. There was a damage on the track and it was a piece of metal shoving in. I'm like, that's where it happened. I was there when it happened. I was in the car and they're like, whatever. And I asked to talk to a manager. There was no manager, Now there was no big internet happening at the time. So I
had to call.
I couldn't get anybody to give me anything. And sure enough, I saw BBB in the Yellow Pages with their ad. And I contacted the BBB.
I sure hope we helped.
You did. And I felt so good that, there were letters sent and things were discussed. Options were given. And it was so positive. And I don't personally write negative reviews on the internet because I feel like if I do, I'm putting it out there in the permanent universe and I'm, you never know, and I'm easily Googled. They could come to my door and slit my throat, So I'm like, so I'm like, I don't want that. So I don't write bad reviews, but when you do feel like you've been done wrong, you want to be able to get some help. And it's just nice to know there's somebody there.
Well, first off, thank you. I'm glad there was a happy ending. We don't call it complaint handling. It's dispute resolution, meaning our goal is just to find a solution.
It was wonderful. It was so professionally done. Letters.
Thank you.
Nice.
It's about not who's right or wrong,
right.
but just how do we get it resolved?
Yes.
Oftentimes consumers don't feel comfortable talking to businesses. They can be intimidated. So that's why they'll come to us. But here's the good news. almost 80% of the disputes are resolved within a matter of less than 10 days.
Right.
Because oftentimes the business owner just doesn't necessarily know what the consumer is concerned with. So it's just keeping that information flowing. And then those that aren't resolved in 10 days, will, as you experienced, will continue to work through that. If we can't find a solution in what we call reconciliation of disputes, we'll then move to a mediation opportunity or possibly even
which I love.
Yes. Or an arbitration opportunity. And so whatever it takes is really the long-term.
Sometimes karma takes care of it because they weren't willing to follow through, and enough people's tires broke. And guess what? They went out of business.
I bet they did.
And it's been out of business ever since. It's still sitting there empty. It's still got a for sale sign after all these years.
Sounds like
Can you believe that?
Opportunity for two
I'm
realtors.
just saying.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Now, remember, though, complaints are not reviews.
Right.
Okay. And we
tell me the difference.
We do both. So
tell me the
complaints,
difference.
You're asking for an action. You're coming to the BBB because you want our help. Reviews, you just want to share your opinion. And we don't allow for double jeopardy. So if a consumer wants to come on board, write a complaint and ask for help, and then also write a negative review, that will not happen because you have to give the company an opportunity to solve it. So if they file a negative review, we'll say, are you sure that you just want to post a review or are you looking for solutions?
Wow. So you have enough people in place to be able to manage that.
Every single review that's written, we see before it's published.
Oh, don't you wish that was the case on the internet?
We make sure.
Oh my goodness.
What we say is we verify marketplace transactions before they get published so that you can rely that those reviews are real.
Wow.
And the business has an opportunity, whether they're positive or negative. And you asked a little earlier, how do we help the businesses? Well, clearly 30 years ago when I started, what was a review? That wasn't a thing, right? Well, now it's everywhere, right? So unfortunately, people will say unkind things,
right?
Whether they're true or false. It's so important for businesses to understand how to manage their reputation online. And that's a big part of what BBB spends time doing every day. And so we tell businesses, listen, we understand that this consumer is not happy with you. Mm-hmm. We also understand that you getting into an argument that's published on the internet is not a good idea.
Right.
So why don't you do this? Write your response, not to the person that reviewed you, but the next 500 people that are going to see it. And that totally changes the dynamic of how that review is perceived.
You bet. Like when I write an email, doesn't matter. I know it could be read by 10,000 people and a group of people in a jury box. So I make sure it's always well written.
Isn't that what ChatGPT is for?
Yeah.
Well, that's his world. I haven't gotten into that world yet.
Do you guys ever take like anonymous?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not going to take a complaint that we don't know who the sender is. We're not going to allow a review to be published that we can't confirm that the consumer actually exists. I will tell you that we probably stop about 20% of the reviews because we know they're fake. And
why can't you consult with Google? You know, Google needs you.
Our little nonprofit.
Google, if you're listening, you need Robyn Householder.
Well,
and her friend,
I
Lorna.
We know they're listening, man.
Oh, that's right. We learned that, didn't we?
There you go. All right. Well, again, our goal is to make sure the information's factual. So just always remember, if you're coming to BBB, you're not going to see anything that we haven't verified.
Right. What would you say your biggest challenges are currently?
I think, again, economically, we've seen a lot of companies go out of business in the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. We've been tracking that since COVID, and as many as 40% of the companies that we've reported on in any given month have gone out of business.
Wow.
So again, as a member organization, that changes our financial picture. And so it's just that constant churn of identifying companies that really are worthy of being recognized. And, a little bit about what we talked about earlier is just that young professional. What do they understand about BBB? And how do they see the value in that? And can we adapt to the values that they need? We used to do a business plan every 2 or 3 years. Now it's more like every, 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Not really, but more like about every 6 months, we're doing a check-in to see, because technology changes at the speed of light, which means we have to adapt with that. So I think that's probably
Mr. IT likes that.
Yes. And again, I don't want to say it's much as an obstacle. It is a challenge. It is a challenge to keep up. It's a challenge to figure out how not only we can use it or overcome that IT issue.
Mhm.
It's interesting. We hosted a big event last week with CEOs from all over the country of BBB. I had 15 of them in our office. And that would be the day that our internet went out.
Natural.
Of course.
Now, I
Naturally.
teased them and said, you're supposed to be unplugged while you're here. So we're forcing
That's
it.
it.
But the reality of it is, it was interesting to watch the reaction to 15 C-suite people not know how to spend 8 hours
Right.
because they couldn't get a hotspot.
Wow.
And so it actually forced conversations. So in the long run, it was actually a
They were
blessing in
present.
disguise.
Yeah.
But it was painful the first hour or two because we're just so used
Right.
to
Of course.
typing and looking and being distracted by it. So again, technology is a challenge. It's a blessing, but it's a challenge.
Now, leadership of a nonprofit is a little bit of a balancing act. And I would
Yes,
imagine,
it is.
especially with the BBB, because you've got that fine line between the consumer and it's a business organization.
Right?
You've got stakeholders as well.
Absolutely.
How do you navigate that?
We fall back on the brand. And I know that may sound silly, but it really is. What does the brand stand for? And let that be our guiding light. So I tell the team, if you're not sure where to go, what does the brand tell you to do? The brand stands for marketplace trust. The brand stands for ethics. The brand stands for integrity. And so whenever the tough decision is made, we've had really large corporations go toe to toe with us. And that can write big checks.
Right.
But do they represent the brand persona? And if they don't, the hard decision is we're going to fall back on that brand and we're simply just going to say no. Because a bad decision like that will impact our organization for years and years to come. We have some crazy people that like to threaten us. And I think I have an open warrant right now on someone who wants to kill me because he didn't like his sticker. Not kidding.
Amazing.
But that's just the nature of the world right now, right? Yeah. So, what we try to do, and I know this sounds very cliche, but we like to focus on the small wins.
Right.
We call them the first down, just like in a good football team, because we know that's what's going to move us down the field. So if we don't have a big win today, that's okay. But what did we do that positively impacted somebody? Were we able to help someone from falling victim? Were we able to get someone that had no idea how to hire a realtor?
Right.
And now we've given them the guidance to know that they're going to be dealing with someone that's reputable. Those are great feelings at the end of the day. We're not saving puppies, but we are saving you money.
That's good. You keep talking about the brand. On the logo, it looks like Lady Liberty torch or something, right? Oh, so I didn't think. I should have thought of that.
Yeah.
I have lost 100 pounds in the last 2 years. So I try to think of something other than food, but. So what's the logo?
So again, BBB started in 1904.
Oh, wow.
Thank goodness we changed our name. Originally, we were the Vigilance Committee for Truth in Advertising.
Da, da, da.
Doesn't that feel like you should write it?
Yeah,
first, right?
Absolutely. Where is my cape and my invisible jet?
Exactly. And so, unfortunately, advertising at its best in the 1900s was fictional. My favorite ad, we actually have a poster over in my office, is a true, real ad that came out of the Washington Post 100 years ago. And it was asthma cigarettes safe for children from 6 years old and on.
Wow.
I don't know. That just feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
So think about the old snake oil salesman.
Right.
So that's really what BBB was founded on, is how do we help people understand what truth is in marketing and what is false so that you don't fall victim.
So is it Lady Liberty's torch?
It really is Lady Liberty's torch. And so it was
I'm a branding man right here.
Now, the brand did go through an overhaul in the late 2000s, and that's why we kind of chuckle and say, does it look like a torch or does it look like soft serve?
It's the first thought I had.
No, it is absolutely a torch.
I love it.
That's the Torch Awards. That's the Torch Awards.
Okay.
So.
Put on your mentoring cap.
Yes.
You've dealt with a lot of businesses over the years. What's some great advice you would give to an emerging business leader?
Find really good mentors. Be a good listener. Read everything you can get your hands on, because it may not be applicable today, but it will be tomorrow.
Did he feed you this answer?
No.
Because he's always telling me we need to read, we need mentors, we need coaches. And I'm like,
yeah, but it's true. I'm so blessed. that in my 30-year career, that regardless of what the issue is, if I'm not really sure where to turn right or left, I know I can call somebody to help me get there. And so surround yourself with people that are willing. I like to call it balcony people. Who's in your balcony?
Ooh.
Who's there cheering you on? Who's there to make you feel good about your performance, to make you feel good about what you just accomplished? And also to let you know when you haven't been so hot and to help you go the other direction. It's okay to be told you're wrong, which is quite humbling. Not something that most business people like to hear, but you know what? You learn more from the mistakes you make.
Right.
If you haven't read the book, read Failing Forward. It's about all the failures that it takes to get yourself moving forward. Love that book.
I always say I fumble forward.
Yeah. Just don't be afraid to make mistakes. But again, surround yourself with people that are there to support you, that you can learn from, that can help guide you, that you can just lean on. That is so, so important.
Wow.
What goals do you have going forward?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, we like to create new businesses. So we actually own 2 other companies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So we like to figure out ways to help support the business community that uniquely they can't access independently. So we have our foundation, which is again where the grants come through, but we also started our own insurance company. Now, captive insurance is something that's relatively common in Tennessee, but it's typically with industries that are unique to one segment. So roofers or siding companies or plumbers. So we've started a company that allows our accredited businesses to access insurance products that they don't necessarily know they need. So for us, it's not just educating them, but then giving them the source to do it. So for example, we have workplace violence, which, if you'd asked me about workplace violence 10 years ago, I would have been, that's dumb. But unfortunately, it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So if you would fall victim to something like that, it helps support you through that. We have cybersecurity. Again, it's not.
Who would have ever thought you needed that?
Well, and again, now cybersecurity, it's not
right.
It's not if, it's when.
Right.
You will
hit us. Hit us hard.
Done that.
Absolutely. And so I think for me, my support group knows that I have a strong entrepreneurial spirit. I always want to look for the next new thing that then helps benefit the roster. So that's it. It's just looking for what's next that we know will bring value to our accredited businesses and help support the community.
You mentioned the Torch Awards. Tell our viewers what that is and what kind of awards that you guys offer.
So we talked a little bit about the Students of Integrity Scholarships, talked a little bit about Spark. So the Torch Awards are actually our longest standing award program. It's done throughout the country. It recognizes businesses who have a strong commitment to culture, a strong commitment to community. It's not about making the most money, but truly being a company that represents strong culture, strong customer service, strong quality. And it's not an easy task to get through the application process. It's a lot of information. We recognize businesses in 5 categories: small, medium, large, extra large, and extra small. And then our local winners go on to be considered for the International Torch Awards, which we've actually had several winners for the international level. We're excited about that. But I think one of the reasons, and I hate to use the word covet because it kind of comes with a negative, but I think the businesses, why they pursue it, because it does speak to who they are, not what they do.
That's good.
And we think that's important. There's so many awards out there for growing the fastest, making the most money, whatever. This is about who you are as an organization and what you represent. And we think that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jumping back into strategy a little bit, how much of your strategic direction do you get from feedback from the community and from your business members?
All day long. So we actually do something called the Value of Accreditation Survey, not just locally, but we also do it nationally to get a feel for what do businesses need, what do they like, what they don't like. Consumers, without being asked, they tell us every day how they feel about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So we like data, not so much to be frozen by it or to be controlled by it, but it tells a great story. And we actually have 3 people in our office that do nothing but data evaluation and data output, so we can see what are the trends, what are the fastest growing services in the community? What are the fastest growing industries in the community? What are people complaining about? And how can we help businesses avoid those disputes in the future? We call them wellness visits because we want you to get healthier in your business. And so our system allows us to see trends. And so we'll start to see a company getting a similar type of concern. And it can only be a matter of 3 even, because if it's 3 in a week, that something's going on. So we need to head it off. So we'll start pulling that data, reach out to those businesses and said, hey, you've got something going on. We think we can help you, whether it's build on it or avoid it in the future. Probably one of my favorite stories of how this works is 100 years ago when I was in the Ohio BBB system, Lazy Boy Furniture was a member in Ohio. We all love our Lazy Boys. They're so comfortable. They had a crazy, insane amount of complaints that came in a very short period of time. And if you've ever bought a Lazy Boy product, you know there's a lifetime guarantee,
Right.
which is wonderful, but it doesn't cover the fabric.
Oh.
And so what would happen is consumers were buying these great pieces of furniture, and then over time, the fabric would wear, the fabric would tear, and then the complaints. As it does, right? And so over time, we started gathering this similar data where it was like they really thought that the fabric was under warranty, when in fact it wasn't. So
it's always in the fine print.
It's always in the fine print. So when we met with the company, they said, no. It very clearly says, I said, here's what you need to understand. You know what it says. Probably your legal department knows what it says. But if consumers are not perceiving that way, it doesn't matter what it says.
Right.
And so you need to think about how are they reading it? What are they perceiving? They changed it. And literally in a matter of a couple of weeks, the complaint value dropped to almost nothing.
Wow.
So it was just giving them the kind of internal data that we have so that they could better impact their interaction with their customer base and get rid of all that negative energy.
That's awesome.
Get rid of all that negative talk.
Now you're based in Nashville. You serve I think you said a 49 county area. What are a couple of insights about the business community?
Like she's an overachiever.
The business community in Middle Tennessee that you've just kind of seen?
Well, I think, we have something called advisory committees in our outlying markets because we know the needs of Cookeville are not the same needs as Franklin and Brentwood.
Right.
And so it's really important to have business leaders in
nothing against
markets.
Cookeville.
No, that's not what I mean at all. First of all, Cookeville is fast growing.
Oh yeah.
What you and I'm going to go off on a tangent for just a second, but what people don't realize about Cookeville is it's centrally located in Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Nashville. And so a lot of businesses use that space. Believe it or not, meeting space is at a premium in Cookeville.
Interesting.
Try to book a conference in Cookeville. I wish you nothing but the best because it's difficult to do. So that's a great example of us being sensitive to the needs. How can we help them identify that this is not only giving them negative feedback because people get frustrated, but what are solutions? Okay. That's very different. In Clarksville, serving the military community, we know that there's or manufacturing with the tire manufacturer up there and a few others. So what we try to do is look at the markets individually and then adapt to that. Clearly, we are in massive growth communities, which in itself breeds problems. And so if there's an insight, and I hate to make it this simple, but it's understanding the importance of patience, because supply and demand is still an issue. Demand more so than anything. I mean, you guys are in real estate.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, right? And so helping people understand the expectation. So often businesses don't realize that because they want to promise, they want to tell you all the good, but then they can't necessarily deliver on what the consumer heard. So specifically in 2020, 21, 2022, we spent a lot of time helping businesses redefine those promises so that the expectation that customer had shifted so that there weren't issues down the road. And whether that's local to our market or just business in general, that's probably an area that we've spent a lot of time on, again, through those wellness visits we talked about earlier. And then again, adapting to the messaging of what really those priorities are in each of those markets.
I like that. Wellness visits.
We just want businesses to be healthy.
That's it.
Well, if a consumer wants to get a hold of you, if a business wants to get a hold of you about the accreditation process, what's the best way to go about it?
Best way is bbb.org. It's got all the resources you need. You can apply for accreditation there. You can file a complaint there. You can post a review. You can also do something called Get Listed. So, for example, if a consumer looks for a business that they're not finding, they just fill out the Get Listed. We'll go do the research and get the information for them, and make sure that they have the information they need to have a healthy transaction. Report a scam. That's so important so that we can help others not fall victim.
Yep.
You know, I will tell you, we recently worked with a woman who lost, what was it about? It's close to $80,000, right? In a romance scam.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And the sad part about it is it went on for 3 years because she was too embarrassed to talk about it. Being able to come to us and not only helping her not fall victim any further because this person was continuing to perpetrate the issue, but getting that word out to so many others to ensure they didn't fall victim. So please don't be embarrassed. Call us and tell us. We need to know so we can not just help you put an end to it, but also help others not fall victim to it.
Remind us that website of yours that tells some of those.
So BBB.org is the primary website. For scams, it's BBB.org/scam tracker.
Scam tracker.
Scam tracker.
I've got to check that out.
Yeah. It can be a scary read.
Yeah.
But definitely worth visiting.
Awesome. Well, Robyn, it was a pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm so glad to have been here.
Hopefully it was relatively painless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love telling the BBB story. Hopefully that came through. A lot of good stuff going on every day, and we appreciate you sharing it.
Good.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us today. We will see you guys next time. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and taste makers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Chord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you. So reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
Am I talking to Casey
it's
Kasem?
the people behind the scenes that make the city shine.
I love it. Take care. See you behind the curtain.